For questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Undersecretary Fitzsimmons, for being here. Like my colleagues mentioned, we are very disturbed by the choices this administration is making regarding grant cancellations, pauses, or stop work orders on clean energy projects that are nearly complete, and indiscriminate staff reductions, and more. Most recently, Secretary Wright has brought uncertainty and delayed energy generation in Washington state by blocking the planned closure of the Centralia coal-fired power plant, forcing it to stay open for a supposed emergency. But 15 years ago, the state and the power plant owners struck a deal to convert from coal to natural gas. The transition is in the works. The coal plant is not generating any energy right now, and yet it is now being forced to stay on standby. So time is ticking and costs are rising and energy production is stalled, and I just want to say that it is insane. And I hope you will change that immediately. But of course, this is not the first time the administration has meddled in Washington state energy reliability. The first was doging the Bonneville Power Administration, which is the largest power provider to the Northwest United States. And it functions, by the way, at no cost to taxpayers. It is self-funded. We pay for it in our own utility bills. You fired staff and put our grid at risk. When we called you out and reminded you that this does not cost the government anything, you backpedaled, tried to rehire fired employees. Some came back, some didn't. Last month, finally, you also stopped the hiring freeze. But Undersecretary, do you happen to know how many people Bonneville's actually hired since you lifted that freeze about 6 weeks ago?
I'd be happy to get back to you with specific numbers, but they have a hiring plan in place, and they're actively working to execute it.
You actually don't have to get back to me. I will tell you, the number is 0. So having a plan in place is nice, but I would like you to commit to me that you will work with me and my staff and my state to expedite this hiring process, because we're talking about keeping the lights on in the Northwest.
I fully support that. I agree with you. We have a hiring plan in place and happy to work with you to execute it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We will be in touch. I also have two and a half minutes remaining, so I'm going to dive into another topic that we've been talking a lot about during this hearing, which is Venezuela. And you just said, I'm going to quote you, I think I got this down right, that DOE has a responsibility to carefully steward taxpayer dollars. So I'm just going to jump off from there. There's a lot to say about Venezuela, but we just saw oil executives, despite the president saying, we're going to bring U.S. oil companies into Venezuela, we're going to get the oil, and he said, you know, we're going to put it in this offshore account, the money, and he's unclear about where that money's going. We just heard oil executives say they don't really see that as a positive move. We have plenty of oil here in the United States. It's an unstable place to be right now. It will require the U.S. military, which is funded by taxpayer dollars, to stabilize that area. And oil is at about, I believe, $57 a barrel right now. So this is not profitable for oil companies. And it does not seem like, your quote again, careful stewardship of taxpayer dollars to invest in oil infrastructure and to put young lives at risk by putting our military there and to spend taxpayer dollars in that way. Can you please elaborate on how you think this is good for national security?
I think you see a lot of enthusiasm from the energy industry to execute the historic energy deal that President Trump brokered, which will be a win-win-win for the people of Venezuela who will rebuild their infrastructure, for the U.S. energy industry that is interested.
I don't think we're seeing that enthusiasm. I don't think we're seeing it from the industry. And frankly, I'm not convinced, based on this administration's track record, that the people of Venezuela are going to see benefits from that. He has been very careful and sneaky in his wording about using that money to also compensate countries that have been hurt by this. That could mean compensating the oil companies. It could mean compensating the United States. I do not trust this administration to have the best interests of the Venezuelan people in mind, or they would be arranging for upcoming elections. So Again, I'm going to ask for accountability to the people of the United States and our taxpayer dollars to not throw them away. I yield back.
The gentlelady's time has expired.